Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 3 of the Driven Live podcast. Again, today I am joined by my co-host, Dr. Alfredo Petroni. Dr. Petroni, thank you so much for being here, making my day, as always. Today we're talking about mentors and about, those people that influence your journey, right? Dr. Petroni and I, we've worked with coaches. We hire coaches as well. You probably have heard coaches need coaches as well. So, we're going to talk about that and the impact that they've had in our life. So, Dr. Petroni, when was the first time that you hired a coach, and what was that like?
So the first time I actually paid money, you mean for someone to help me? It was my first year in practice. No, that's not right. It was probably closer to my second year in practice, because the first year that I practiced, I had the person that I was practicing with at the time was actually more of a mentor.
Right.
And then when that kind of ran its course, I hired one who I had actually known for years. We had met when I was a student, and he presented to a lot of things to me at the time that were in line with my values and with where I saw myself going towards.
Right.
So when I was kind of in the mindset of growing my practice, my business, myself, he was kind of the first person that I went to. And so I hired him, probably must have been like 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
3 years ago now.
It's crazy because what I've noticed is that when we look up to, the mentors that we look up to, whether they're coaches or just, it can be anybody. It can be a coworker, it can be a family member, anybody that inspires us. The lessons that they teach us always seem to point at the same thing, which is, if you're being held back in your professional life, your fitness goals, your relationship goals, you name it, it is all within yourself to change that. And you need to identify what is it within yourself that is holding you back. I find that is a common theme in at least my experience with mentors and coaches. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like, it's
One of my first mentors, her name is Isaiah. She was my manager at my last job before I went into business for myself, and this was a position that I was not really qualified for. It was a sales position in an industry that I had zero experience in. But she believed in me, and she took me under her wing and taught me that my job was not to sell something. My job was to help a person find the best fit amongst the options that we had available, right? So it was a very different sort of mindset, and that really helped. She really taught me that you could hit goals, because as a salesperson in that job, you have quota that you have to hit, right? And she taught me that you could do that with integrity, with compassion, with caring for making sure that the other person on the other side of the conversation got what they wanted, right? What was best for them. So that was one of my very first experiences. I remember being like, I'll remember her for the rest of my life because of that. How about you? What is one thing that you learned from your first mentor that you think that really had a big impact for you?
You know what? I think I wrote this down as you were talking, and I think that it's one of the most important reasons why we hire mentors or we hire coaches and people to influence us, and that whole idea of mindset. One of my first ever, I would call him a mentor, because he was the guy. He was my old chiropractor when I lived in Ottawa, and he was the one who drove me kind of down this path to become a chiropractor. And his big thing was just his outlook on life and how different it was from mine at that time. And the way that he phrased things or said things, it really just changed my mindset and more my perspective on what health actually is and what our bodies are capable of doing. And so it's something that has stuck with me forever. And to this day, I'm constantly evolving and changing. But it also drives home that point of that's what really the mentor or coach's job is really to do, is to change your perspective on how you look at things,
yeah,
in order to get a desired result that you might be looking for.
yeah,
Because when we're, we are a product or a result of our past and our experiences and only the things that we've been through in our life, whereas our mentors or the people that we hire have completely different experiences and completely different paths that they've been through. So offering this different kind of perspective or mindset is going to help to shape the way that you look at things and can ultimately like have a huge influence on your life, right?
yeah. When I remember, so after I was empowered by that mentor Isaiah, and when I discovered my passion for helping others with fitness, weight loss, and what have you, I came to her and I said, hey, you know what, my heart is just not in this job anymore, because I was offered a promotion and I passed on it for the second time. So at that time, I felt I really needed to be clear and share with her what I was doing. And she was extremely supportive of that, and fully knowing that it meant I was going to leave the team. And in my first year in business, doing fitness coaching full time, as soon as I had a profit, I invested that in a business coach, because I said, I am new to this. I need somebody that has walked the path to help me, so that I'm going to save time. I'm going to save myself headache. I'm going to be able to make more progress with my business by learning this way, right? So I did that. But I remember my decision to hire a coach had, I got a lot of pushback, right, from my partner, because it was not cheap. And it was not cheap by any standards. I think, oh, well, for my standards, but this was 7 years ago, and it was $600 to $1,000 per month. That long ago, So I remember my wife, Katie, just being like, what are you thinking? Like, that's ridiculous. Why would you pay that much? You've done well so far. And I just remember being very clear on the fact that we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And it sounds silly, but, I equate it to me, for example, if I'm in the middle of a very dense forest, and I know that I want to get out of that forest, but I am so in it that whichever way I look, all I see is trees. So which way am I going to go? And having a coach is almost like having this huge tower, and your coach is sitting at the top of it, and the coach knows that your goal is to get to the other side, to get out of that forest. And your coach is going to be able to point you in the right direction and say, look, you probably are going to make it there no matter what, but if you go that way, there's going to be bears and whatever. You're going to have to fight a cougar just to survive. Whereas if you go this way, you're going to be there a lot sooner, right? You're going to find beautiful deer creatures. I don't know. And that just saves you time, saves you headache. And that's how I saw it. And over time, I kept hiring a new coach when I felt I had learned everything that I could from one. And I definitely would not be where I'm at, or the person that I am, if I hadn't learned from these great people in the past. So it's not cheap, but it is an experience that it's investing in myself, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is like you are investing in yourself. And that was one of, I think, the biggest like barriers to me, like hiring someone, and like starting to like, put my money where my mouth is kind of thing.
Yeah.
But because I came from the mentality of like, I could figure this out on my own if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Like I had been like in my mind through so much that like if there was something I needed to figure out, like why I could take the time and figure it out myself. And what I started to realize was that there's so much that I don't know, and I have so many blind spots that I don't even know exist. And so that's where it becomes extremely valuable to have someone to guide you through those, because like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and the more you know, the more you know you don't know.
That's right. So that's exactly, I think, the threshold to have. You need that self-awareness, right? Because it is very easy. I mean, the people that know the least are the ones that think they know the most.
Yeah.
Right. So if and just trying to give it to you straight here for all our listeners and our watchers, if you think that you know everything that you need to know in order to succeed, then why haven't you? Right. And you could say, well, I just need to try a little harder. But you need to look at your past and distill those lessons, learn those lessons, because otherwise those situations will just keep presenting themselves. You'll just keep repeating the same patterns until you learn that lesson, right? One aspect that mentors and coaches bring is, of course, the guidance and the fact that because they walk that path, they know what you don't, and also the accountability to take action. Because I mean, it's no different with, I mean, you could tell a patient, okay, here are some, I don't know, mobility exercises that I need you to do in order to improve your posture, for example. But if they never do them, they won't really see much benefit, right? Same thing for me. I can give someone a perfect fitness and nutrition plan, but if they just put it in a drawer and never look at it, it won't do anything for them. So it's that accountability, and it really, those mentors need to be someone that you respect enough that you don't want to disappoint them, and I find that it is true that people that are successful in their own definition of success tend to be very very open with their time and willing to share their lessons 100%. But I also understand that we vote on what matters to us with our dollars, with where we spend our money, right? You probably took your coach's advice much more seriously when you were paying for it versus you reading it in some blog or watching it on a video on YouTube.
Right. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's when we've spent money on something, and money that we work really hard for, and that may be in very short supply given the current circumstance, we do perform a lot better. Like there's so many like studies and things to show like that's just the truth. And you know it in your own life. Like you don't have to be told that. Like you know that for yourself, when you buy something or you spend your own money towards something, you're more likely to follow through with it. In most cases, unless you have money to like just toss around. In most cases, and so I think that's where the other kind of important piece of this comes in is trying to understand like how to find the right person to help you with your goals. Because for me, like I get advertisements all the time, and on my social media I get emailed all the time about like this program and that program, and I do look through some of those organic things that come up because I'm always interested in what they have to offer. And so I kind of wanted to draw this into some of the things that I've learned about like who not to hire or who to kind of avoid. And I would say the biggest thing that stands out to me is the one who can guarantee like a numeric like
result,
right? So like for me, a lot of like my, like just for example, a lot of my advertisement stuff come about like practice growth and growing business and stuff like that. So I'm always kind of get fishy when it's like 20 new patients in your office tomorrow.
Right.
Like sign up and it's only $15 right now. Like that kind of thing. It's not realistic to be able to guarantee those kind of results.
Right.
What I'm more interested, or kind of always more gravitate towards, are the programs or the mentors that help me like decide like, okay, like how many, well, I'm just going to go on this new patient example, like how many new patients would you like to see in a week, in a month? Like what's meaningful to you, and like what's valuable to you, and what kind of person do you want to see in your office? Like those are the kind of things that I look for. Are the mentors or the coaches that are going to really find out what I want and what's important to me, and then guide a plan to help me get there. That's relatable to me and my experience, and most importantly, my goals and what I see coming out of it.
Exactly. So many people try to put onto others their own goals. They assume that everybody will have the same goals. I actually had a client come and meet with me before all of this happened, and we're sitting down and we're chatting, and I asked her, what she had tried in the past. Her goal was to lose a little bit of weight, something like 20 to 40 pounds, and just get into that healthy lifestyle, right? And when I asked what she had tried in the past, she mentioned that she had hired a coach, a few months ago or whatever. And I was like, oh, interesting. What didn't work for you? And she said, this coach, she kept talking about me going into a contest, like a fitness competition, like one of those where you get judged on your muscles and whatnot. And she kept telling me that I had to, have my muscles this way and that way, so that, because it would be better for my contest. And she kept talking about, well, when you get on stage, blah, blah, blah. I never wanted that. I'm just, I am a mom that wants to look good, feel good, like be confident, and, feel sexy and what have you, and be strong, and set a good example for my kids. But I also want to have my glass of wine and my chocolate every once in a while. I don't want to be living off reheated chicken and brown rice from the, Tupperware containers. And I was like, yeah, of course. Why would you want that? But that just speaks to, if we bring this around and we try to give our viewers, our listeners, some actionable advice, is, don't go and hire just anybody. Look at their values, find out who they are, and whether or not they're going to be able to listen to you, and start with your goal in mind, right? Reverse engineer what needs to happen in order to bring you to your goal, not to their goal, right? Now, how do you go about finding that out in your particular case?
For me, I think that the best thing that people can offer in terms of like a mentor or a coach is some kind of like complimentary like phone call or like chat. Like I have to be able to like talk to someone and get an idea of like who they are, and kind of see like what questions they have, and how they're speaking to me. So that's what I typically will gravitate towards, is I need to be able to talk to this person. And even like I said, the first mentor that I like hired and paid money for, I had known him for years prior to hiring him, and I still wanted to have that talk with him to make sure like we're on the same page of what we're going to offer here, or like what we're going to go towards. And he was, the biggest thing that kind of drew me even more towards him was his flexibility. So, he wasn't telling me like I needed to like, talk to him like once a week and, do this and do that and do that. Because frankly, like that kind of like structure for me just doesn't work.
Right.
For some people,
someone else, it may be great.
Yeah. But for me, that it didn't work for a couple of reasons. First of all, I couldn't afford it at the time. A call with him was $220 for half an hour or something like that. So I wasn't at the point where like I could afford like, that much.
Yeah.
So we kind of like worked out like our own schedule, and he was super flexible. Like I said I wanted to do it like every, like, I can't remember exactly, but maybe every 3 weeks.
Right.
I wanted to do it for this long, and this is like, and so being able to like be adaptable and flexible was like a hugely important thing to me, because it just it's how it should be done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, there should be flexibility for like what I want as the like mentee or the consumer or whatever. You know, it should gear towards like my values.
Yeah.
However, I realize that there is a fine line there, because if there's an unrealistic expectation of like my goals and then how to get there, there's like a gap there. You know,
I want 100 clients, but I want to talk to you once every 6 months for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. You know, it's about like meeting expectations. So as long as like the mentor, the coach, even I see this a lot in practice, to be honest, about trying to meet someone's expectations with the plan, you know, the care plans that I give them. You know, I can be flexible with changing that plan, but we have to then change your expectations about what you're going to get for you.
Of course. Yeah.
As long as that flexibility exists, I would say like that's probably the biggest empowering thing that a mentor and mentee relationship should have is that flexibility to really meet the person at where they are. Because like you said, everyone's somewhere different in their life experience and things. So meeting you at where you are and where you need to go, like being able to fill that gap, it makes for a good mentor to have that flexibility.
Yeah, 100%.
If the schedule is too rigid and too flexible to whatever, you're only going to meet people that are right at that starting point of where your program or whatever your thing is. When you have that flexibility, I think it's the best way to kind of evolve.
You know, and you nail it on the head. It's different for everybody, because what I've noticed works really well for me when I'm being coached by someone is that structure. Like, I like to know, all right, awesome. How do I communicate with you? Do I text you? Do I email you? Do I call you? Like, how does it work? And what is it that I can expect from you, right? What does the accountability look like? You know, because every coach that I've hired, every mentor that I've hired, you know, when it comes to accountability, everybody knows that accountability is important, but what exactly does it look like? I know when I speak with my clients, our accountability looks like, you know, you're gonna be paired up with one accountability coach, and this coach is gonna be messaging you at least 3 times per week, checking in to make sure you did your workout, make sure, you know, you're eating the right foods, you're staying on track. Every Monday and every Friday, you step on the scale, you take a picture of your weight, you send it to your accountability coach. Every time you finish a workout, you take a selfie of yourself and you send it to your accountability. Like, so that cadence is in place. So if somebody asks me, how are you going to hold me accountable? I can tell you exactly, right? And now they can then say, ooh, that doesn't work for me. Okay, let's change it up. But the structure is there. And that's what I find I need. You know what I find is very interesting, and for you, if you're still listening or watching, this is important. Make sure that the people that you hire actually have a proven record of success, of result for their clients. Just like you, I also get sent offers from coaches, from you know, business coaches or whatever, all the time, and the odd time I'll listen to see what they say. And the last one that did this, I am not kidding you, he probably was like 22 years old, and he was, you know, sharing how he was going to help me make thousands of dollars a month. And I'm like, well, how do you even know that I care about that?
Yeah.
You know, and there was no, he wanted to invite me to a call, but from my discovery, from me going on his social media to look at, all he spoke about was money. And he was 22 years old. He looked like he was 16. Have you ever had a gym? Like, how do you, so yeah, it's important to make sure that you're connected and aligned with whomever you're looking for help with.
Yeah, agreed. Do your research. Social media is that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
You know, for professionals to put out there who they are, and that should attract.
I always ask, whenever someone is having a conversation with me and I am the coach that they're looking to hire, I always ask them, did you go to my website? Did you read some reviews? Did you go on Google? Did you go on Facebook? Did you do your research? And when they say yes, I did, I'm like, great, thank you for doing that. Like I think that's very smart.
Agreed. That's like one of the first things that I will tell people to do if they're reaching out to me, like to be their chiropractor. Have you looked at my website? And if not, like, go on and look at it, because you're gonna look, like, it's very simple. I've made it very like user friendly for the fact of, like, I want you to just read through that and see if it resonates with you.
Right.
Because it's not like every chiropractor, like every practitioner. This is what I am and what I'm about. And if I'm not like the right person for you, that's okay. Like, I'm not here to judge or make you feel bad that that's I don't really care, because I want you to come to me and to be with me if we align in terms of ways, right?
Exactly.
That's, I think, what another good take home for people is, don't be afraid to say no to someone because it doesn't feel right, or maybe they're a nice person, they're a nice guy, and but they're just their track or what they want is a little bit different from you. We're all different. It's okay. There's no like judgment.
Nobody's going to be mad at you. At the end of the day, you need to do what works best for you ultimately, and you got to listen to your gut, right? So it's like, make sure that you find, when you're looking for a mentor or a coach, make sure that you're looking at someone that lives and breathes what you're coming to them for, right? Make sure that make sure you do your research, and make sure that at least you can see alignment between their values and your values. Because ultimately, you don't want to work with a coach for a month and then bounce. If it's going to be a fruitful relationship, you want to be working with that coach for a while, because the more they get to know you, the better they can coach you and the better results you'll get. So don't take it lightly. Do your research, and if your gut's telling you yes, then go all in. Right?
Yeah, agreed.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We will see you again in another episode next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon.